allowing us to track what are the most concerns, how do we carry those out, how do we respond and give information. The total number again for those service calls were 2,826 total tickets, 21% from the public, 79% from vote centers, meaning election judges, workers, and clerks. So in terms of those numbers, they are not very large. I mean, over 2,000, 2,800 in terms of the size of this county and how many vote centers we have. Majority of those, 21% public, 79% vote centers, most of which we were able to help vote centers either address their issues in real time on the phone and or address them throughout the day. So as you all have noticed on Harris Votes thus far, 150 vote centers are on the results for Harris Votes now. We are continuing to update those results in intervals every hour on the hour or 10 minutes before the hour. So there is another update on harrisvotes.com that has 150 vote centers reporting, meaning for election day. We have run early voting numbers. You've seen those numbers. Now you will see a regular flow of election night vote centers continue to report. Are there any questions? Yes, the question is in regards to, are there any issues here at NRG in terms of the counting process? The counting process is running fairly smooth, and we're happy to report that right between that 8:30, 9:30 hour frame is when we see most of our vote centers coming in fairly quickly. Earlier I mentioned there are 64 vote centers who have reported here. That's 64 out of 149 that need to report here, okay? 64 that have come to this rally site out of 149. What voters should understand, what the public should understand, what you should all understand is that after they have voted, every last voter, it is more than a small job to break down that equipment at the end of the night, make sure that all forms and documents are set aside, put in the right containers, and then those election judges are driving into a nearby rally site to report those. They also have the alternate judge following them as a witness and as an additional security measure. Once they drive here, and I don't know how much footage you all have been able to see, is that those rally site or election judges are pulling up in their vehicles, and we have robust staff, 60 or more at every single rally site, taking in the equipment, verifying chain of custody, making sure poll codes match with what we have here, and then we are on to the counting process, right? So you're hearing the steps as they go. Once we receive them here in the counting process, then we are officially processing tallies only here at NRG. The tallying of votes are only taking place here at NRG. Thank you. Next question.
I know this process is still going, but is there anything that hasn't gone well that you want to reevaluate for the next election?
Absolutely. There are always things that you learn in every single election that you couldn't have thought of, right? For the most part, this election has gone very well, and I am so proud of the staff and the individuals that put in time. I think as we continue to learn and grow, we're going to learn more about the voting equipment and how we prepare for future elections, especially a presidential year. So there'll be more talks that we'll have with our vendors, as well as the ServiceNow. ServiceNow is working really well with us understanding what's happening real time. How do we set that apart, and how do we both best, address those as we go along? So
anything specific that happened today that you'd like to see change in the future?
yes, more election workers. You will notice that to run elections here in Harris County takes a lot of people. You're witnessing that here tonight. And so I would like to see more election workers recruited to learn the job, to be trained, to be a part of this operation, because a year from now, we'll be looking at twice the size that we're doing tonight. So there's something that we have learned, and that is there is a need for more election workers, capable, willing individuals who's able to do it. They are paid, so it's not completely volunteer, but we are going to be in need of more support of those individuals who actually run the poll and provide every voter the opportunity to vote. Next question.
Just given the speed of the counting so far, any revision to the estimate of when we can see all the votes counted tonight?
I don't have an actual estimate or time frame on when we'll see all the votes. But you know, like I said, we'll come back every hour on the hour with more updated votes and vote centers. I do know out of our 701 vote centers, we have more than half of those who've reported to a rally site based on the numbers given. So that's a really good sign. We have more than half of the 701 that have reported to a rally site and already in the process of qualifying, bringing their boxes in, us going through the process and making sure that we have the tools we need to read those results. I know everybody wants to know what's the time, what's the goal time, clerk, but we'll continue to communicate that throughout the night. You know, I'm hopeful that we can close this out at a reasonable time, but if there are any concerns or things we need to share with you all, we'll be sure to share that.
Brief follow-up. Typically, once they drop the equipment off at a rally site, how long does it take to break everything down, you know, kind of tabs on everything and then get those votes uploaded?
Sure. I don't have the actual time frame in that. I know you all have been able to witness it, but it all depends on the vote center. Sometimes, you know, we may not have all the equipment in that one run, and so it all depends on the vote center. From what I have witnessed, it is about a 30 to 40 minute process, right? Because we're looking at chain of custody. We're looking at to make sure all the poll codes and the vote centers match. And then as we come here, again, we're not updating every single vote center, right, every minute. What we're doing is we're recording in what we have, verifying everything, making sure it meets chain of custody, we're following the law, state and federal law, and then we read them as groups. All right, thank you all so very much. I hope those numbers were good to digest for now. We'll come back and provide more information. Thank you. Yes, so latest numbers. Total votes cast in the November 7th election is 435,674. 211,053 are election day in person, and 224,621 is early voting in person and mail ballot. Thank you.